Alright guys, today we're going to practice some more dividing. I put this picture on because you do need to be in beast mode today to understand how to do this division. Alright, let's say our first problem is 156 divided by 12. Okay, the way that I'm going to teach you how to solve this is called partial quotients. You learned it a little bit at the end of 4th grade, and you'll be using division a lot in 5th grade, so it's important that you really try your hardest on this. In order to solve 156 divided by 12 using partial quotients, the first step is to write your problem, 156 divided by 12, and the 12 goes on the outside. Okay, then you draw a line right beside the 156. Now your division is going to be on the left side. Your answer is going to be on the right side of the line. Okay. The first step is to think about how many times does 12 fit inside 156. Okay, this does not have to be an exact answer. Something that's easy to start with is usually 10. That's where I tell my students to always start. So I'm going to go ahead with 10. Now 10 times 12 is 120. So that tells me that 12 goes into 156 10 times, and that equals 120. Now the next step is to subtract that 120 off of the 156. That leaves me with 36. Okay. Now the next step is to figure out how many times does 12 fit into 36. Okay, I know that 12 goes into 36 3 times. So I'm going to put my 3 over on the right side. 3 times 12 then is 36. I subtract. I'm at 0. Okay. The very last step of this is to go over to the right side of the screen again and add those two numbers together. So 10 plus 3 is 13. My answer to 156 divided by 12 is 13. Okay, this time I'm going to say that my division problem is 452 divided by 4. So remember, I'm doing my dividing on the left side of the line. My answer will go on the right side of the line. I know that 4 fits into 400 at least 100 times. So I'm going to start with a 100 over here. Now I could start with a 10 because it does go in 10 times, but it's a little bit less work if you get as close to that answer as possible, as close to this number as possible on your first number that you write over here. Now the next step is 100 times 4, which is 400. I'm going to write that down below the 452. 400, and then subtract. So I'm left with 52. My next step is to figure out how many times does 4 go into 52. Now I know that goes in at least 10 times. 10 times 4 is 40, and 40 fits into 52. Then I'm going to subtract. I'm left with 12. Okay, now my last step is to figure out how many times does 4 fit into 12. I know that 4 times 3 equals 12, so I'm going to put my 3 over here. Put my 12 down below, subtract. I'm left with 0. This number down here becomes your remainder. Okay, over on the right side now, I'm going to add my columns together. So I have 113 as my answer with a remainder 0. Now in your math journal, they throw in some challenging ones. I'm going to try one that's a little bit more difficult with you so you know how to solve it. Let's say this problem is 684 divided by 30. So the first step is to figure out how many times does 30 fit into 684. Again, I'm going to go with 10 because that's the easiest number to multiply by. So 10 times 30 is 300. So I'm going to write my 300 down here and then subtract. So I'm left with 384. My next step is to figure out how many times 30 goes into 384, and I know that goes in at least 10 more times. 10 times 30 is 300, and 300 fits inside 384. Then I subtract over here. Now I am left with 84. So I have to figure out how many times does 30 fit into 84. I know that goes in at least 2 times. 2 times 30 is 60. Then I subtract. I'm left with 24. Now 30 cannot fit into 24 because 30 is larger than 24. Okay, so that tells me that my remainder is going to be 24. I move over to the right side and I add these up. 10 plus 10 plus 2 is 22 with a remainder of 24. Remember, remainder just means what's left over. Okay, good luck on your test today, on your assessment today, kiddos.